Well, now from West London, we're joined via the internet by the singer Mica Paris, who collaborated with Prince in the year 2000. And with me is the music journalist Jasmin Dotiwala. Jasmin, you met him. I know it was a long time ago, but I don't imagine it was an easily forgettable experience. How would you describe him to be in his presence?
Electric, just electric. Everyone would be mesmerised by him. He had an energy that was so dynamic. I mean, when we talk about true icons and the greatest acts of this century, he is one of the most prominent. There will be shocked people all over the globe right now.
And you stayed in his house?
Yeah, incredibly, once a few years ago, I was lucky enough to be a guest at his home, not whilst he was there, but with someone else.
What was the house like?
It was incredible, beautiful, huge place in LA, full of art, full of music, relics. It was well known that he'd hosted many parties there. He had legendary parties. He was very eager to bring lots of different people from the creative arts worlds together. I mean, his singing capabilities, you know, he was one of the most prominent multi-instrumentalists. He could play up to 27 instruments. I remember in the early days when I was first at MTV and music journalists would interview him, he would love taking pride in showing us around the studio and playing lots of different instruments and just never compromising on anything. You know, quite a stubborn character when it came to his thoughts and his music label issues. Just incredible.
Mica Paris, can you hear me okay?
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. And you actually collaborated with him. How would you describe working with him and how his music affected you?
Well, I was a huge fan before. I was at school when he was, you know, just coming out, and I got roasted for playing his music because it wasn't church enough, you know, came from the church. So when I finally got the call and went to see him, and he said he'd like to work with me, I was honoured, and I flew to Minneapolis, went to stay with him while he was doing the Batman soundtrack. He was doing the Batman soundtrack at that time, and he wrote me a song, "If I Love You Tonight," and I've been seeing him over the years. I saw him last year when he was here. I thought he was a bit thin, but he seemed very vibrant and everything. He seemed his usual self. I'm in an absolute shock. Don't know really what else to say.
What was it about him that really made him such an unbelievable force?
Well, the reason why the thing with him, if you ever saw him play live, is the only thing to describe is that you were totally transformed. When he played that guitar, you felt like you were listening to Hendrix. Then you'd look again and it looked like he was dancing like James Brown. He was just multi-layered. He was ridiculous. You were just transported. The only way to describe Prince is that he was a phenomenon. You know, he was just out of this world. Every musician has been inspired by him. He was a true genius.
I don't want to put you through it, but can you give us one phrase from "I Love You Tonight"?
If I love you tonight, promise me, baby, you'll stay with me till the morning light.
Great stuff. Well done. Amazing in your grief
John,
to sing
you're
that.
terrible. You're embarrassing me now.
Not at all, not at all, not at all. Jasmin, where would you place him? I mean, above Bowie? No.
You can't compare legends. I mean, they all have their own niches. I mean, absolutely equal to, but you can't compare them. They're incomparable. You know, this is a forward-thinking guy. He was so digitally minded. He was predicting changes in the music industry when the internet started. And up until recent weeks, he was still telling people out there, I told you this would happen to the music
And this
industry.
capacity to play so many different instruments. I mean, what was his instrument?
Oh, gosh. I mean, when we watched him live, even up till last year at Coco and all the secret gigs, he was playing, he'd be jumping on the keys and the pianos, he'd be with the guitar. I think the guitar could have been his favourite. Would you agree? Misha's nodding. I think she's nodding.
Misha, what was his instrument then? Could you pick one impossible?
You really have to say there's two things Prince was amazing at. Three things. He was good at loads, but lyrically he was a genius, the way he wrote. The way he would express what love would mean to him in so many different ways. He would sometimes describe it as a flower. He was a poet as well. The guitar was his thing. There's no two ways about it. When he played that guitar, it was a different world. But what was genius about him was when he was in the studio. When I was in the studio with him, I couldn't believe how many things he could do at one moment. Without an engineer, he did everything himself.
Mica, thank you so much for paying tribute,
you.
and thank you for bouncing about on the internet. But we really got a flavour of what he meant to you and what he means to so many. Thank you very much indeed, and indeed to Jasmin Dotiwala. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.